Fairfield. You are watching Fairfield 2.0. Another exciting episode. A dynamic, dexterous, deterioratus. Throw in a word. You're the English guy.
Delicious.
Come on. Delicious show.
Delirious.
Thank you. Delirious episode. There we
Hello.
go. With Galen Hawthorne. Ladies and gentlemen, Galen Hawthorne.
Hi there.
Jason is applauding too.
Jason is.
There we
He's
go.
absolutely-
Jason's
there we
applauding
go.
too. There we go. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, that's the end of today's episode. And Galen, what are you up to? What's going on?
Well, right now I'm on your show.
Okay, cool.
And
That's a good start.
It's kind of scaring me.
All right, it's okay. Don't get too scared. We'll calm down. No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so
What's going on with the sign? Let's do business. Get business out of the way first
okay.
before we get into comic books and all sorts of fun stuff.
Right.
What's going on over at the Sondheim?
Well, I'm working at the Sondheim, and we're getting the superhero sidekick show in, which is that's Treat, the Two Roads Educational Arts Theater, and they're it's just amazing. I've been hearing them practice this whole time while I've been working in the box office for Cabaret, and it's just been, it's just loud and amazing and strong.
It seems to me there's a connection with Dr. Derek, isn't there?
Yes, Dr. Derek Anderson is the, I guess he's the producer of Treat. Or,
In addition to being our Dr. Phil.
Yes, is he?
No, not really, but
More of a, I think he's more of a Dr. Oz, don't you think?
he is more of a Dr. Oz,
A little bit of a
absolutely.
Dr. Oz.
Tell us a little bit, if you can, is there any hint you can give us about the show?
Any hint about the Super Sidekick Show? My big hint about the Super Sidekick Show is that there's posters all around town about it, and I put them up.
Oh no, cat's out of the bag.
You may recognize me from putting up posters all across town.
What's going on with what's going on at the Sondheim? As far as shows, as far as all sorts of stuff.
As far as shows.
As far as like things that you're excited about that are coming to town that you know of.
This isn't necessarily a show, but we just opened up a juice bar in the Sondheim.
It's a show of sorts.
Yes,
Okay.
It's in the concession stand, and it opened up on April 1st.
Cool.
Which was sort of
April Fool's Day.
Yeah, it's always an interesting choice for a startup date, but I know a lot of companies that have April 1st as their anniversary. So.
And also, and a lot of companies who've had a lot of success have started on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, stuff like that too. So.
I don't know if that's true. I'm
Maybe
just
it's a secret formula.
The more unlucky you project it, the better it is.
Exactly.
What is your deal with juices over there? What kind of juices would I expect to see?
I know that there's wheatgrass shots.
Wheatgrass shots.
Lots of wheatgrass shots. I have friends who are going there daily for their
pounding down their
daily
wheatgrass
dose.
After they do their monster drinks, perhaps.
Oh, of course,
Looking
absolutely.
to the side to see my monster drink.
Yeah, no. there's-
I gotta have some. And what kind of? There'll be carrot, of course, beet, and all the normal. Okay, the usual.
So
Are there any other things in addition to the juices?
energetic, like they have like energy mixes and stuff like that, and lots of. Yeah, you might be interested in that.
Oh my God.
And some, fruit juices and stuff like that. So it's a good idea to go check it out.
Cool.
And while you're there, you can go to the Squeal Good Barbecue that's in the kitchen as well.
The heck you say?
We're renting the whole
What?
center out, I swear. Like, soon enough, it's just going to be like the exhibition hall. It's just going to be stands and stands and stands of different, like, foods and stuff.
What is that? Well, tell me about
That'd
that.
be amazing if
Tell
we
me
had
about
a
that
food
too.
court.
That would be really good, actually,
right?
wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, Squeal Good Barbecue is open for lunch during the week, and it's just pulled pork and brisket and all sorts of things like that. You can if you send them a message, you can pre-order like ribs to be made. I think it's like 24 hours in advance, that sort of thing.
Nice.
And it's just kind of great down-home cooking.
Now, this is a little bit of competition when you're talking about all this type of stuff to Hy-Vee. What do you have to say about that?
Well, just
Dennis
know,
Lopp, are you listening to this?
Just
Okay.
know, if you're up on the north side of town, you can just stop by the Sondheim Center.
Yeah, right. There you go. Of course, you should anyway. That's
You
right.
should anyway to see some of these shows.
That's right. And what else is going on as far as the shows?
The Marvelous Wonderettes are coming in. They're sort of a I think it's a 40s and 50s kind of musical review, kind of a Forever Plaid sort of thing, but with girls.
Oh, well.
And they
Imagine that. Such a thing. Cool. I'm a fan of them. You know who the McGuire sisters are?
Not sure.
All right. They were like an Andrews sisters with one more. I'm a big fan of that kind of singing. Manhattan Transfer, you've heard of them, right? Manhattan Transfer is almost an offshoot of that type of approach, meets well, we won't go into the lineage here. But what else is exciting you about the Sondheim? We have Ragbri coming through also, right?
Right? Yeah. I think you're the one who has the knowledge on Ragbri here.
Yeah, no, but is there some association? Is there going to be some event or something in association with
I think
the
we're going to
center?
have some sort of, hospitality ready for
There you
them,
go. That's right. And then also another event that's happening is solar powered or people powered, or I don't know what they're calling it these days, but Crew FM is going to have something of a Fairfest, right?
Yeah. There's Fairfest. I think there's Eco Jam also happening.
Jam.
Yeah, there's going to be just lots of crazy events going on, and you can definitely get press releases on those and stuff like that. You can check out fairfieldacc.com and yes, get a little crawl going on there, and we'll
Hi, Jason.
We'll know all about it. Jason's just looking out the window.
He's like, yes, Mike, we got fairfieldacc.com. Yes.
Another 26 minutes, and then I can pitch off out of here.
It's only 26 minutes.
We'll see what else is going on.
What is going on as far as the Visitors Bureau? Is there any interesting event that you might know of happening there?
Well, we just had a Fairfield Visitors Weekend where they all came and flocked to the Sondheim Center to see Cabaret.
Cabaret.
So, yes.
Cabaret, was that a good show?
Cabaret was a good show.
I hear it was a good show.
It was great.
I actually had some of the cast on the show.
Good.
It was amazing. Lyric Benson. Lyric Benson being the daughter of Robbie Benson and Carla DeVito.
Yeah.
And she looks like an exact genetic cross between the two of them. That show was, of course, a light show, a lot of fun and frivolity, and nothing very intense or
I'm not certain I would say that entirely.
No, I heard that I'm actually going to go see it elsewhere. I wasn't able to see it while it was here, but I'm going to go see it in Coralville. I know that seems somewhat unpatriotic, doesn't it? But I must. And
that's still them.
It's still them. I'm still supporting the team. But Gareth, of course, is in it, and Gareth has this major role. We'll leave that alone. And also, what's his name? Jonathan Christopher. Jonathan Christopher plays the Joel Grey character. Anyway, I'm excited to see that. That should be interesting.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you, you are no stranger to acting yourself. In fact, you were in WOB Productions.
Yes, I was.
You might have been about this big or something when you were in one of them, perhaps one of the early ones.
A little bit.
Would it go by the name of Peter Pan?
Yes,
perhaps?
it would. It would absolutely go by Peter Pan.
How did you? Now you also have the acting bug, right? Go into that. How did that all happen?
I'm just not sure, honestly. No, back when I was very, very, very young, I believe the first show that I was ever in was actually Music Man, and it was done by the by just sort of the Fairfield community theater, and that was, I was just sort of in the chorus with that, but I thought that was just really fun and really cool. And so when Randy West came to town,
who?
Randy West.
Oh, right, of course.
He started up a version, a go of Peter Pan, and I ended up playing Michael in it, and right?
I'm confused.
I know.
I'm Michael.
It's
little Michael. I got it. Okay.
But yeah, so I was very little Michael, and I had my footy pajamas and my teddy bear and everything like that. And
do you miss all? You miss them?
Yes. I learned some very important acting lessons in that. Like, if you're woken up by someone telling you that you're going to learn to fly, don't make your bed first. I was a very trained child.
Good work, House of Hawthorne. What happened with? By the way, while we're on House of Hawthorne, I don't know if anybody knows, but this guy is the son of one of the most talented families ever. Can we do a little catch up as far as what's your dad doing these days?
Sure.
David Hawthorne, of course.
David Hawthorne is still doing his astrology business and just doing great at it. He's got clients from all over the world. There are people in India who call him for astrological consultations all the time.
Interesting.
And
and he does Jyotish, the version
of.
of.
He does Jyotish. He does. And my sister just actually signed on as an official partner in AstroView. So you can now get a reading from Sarah Hawthorne. And she specializes in youth readings and young adults, and she does relationship advice and things like that, career advice.
See, speaking of people-powered, solar-powered Crew FM, that's a show that's needed over there. I always thought if if I were to have a show over there someday, but that might happen. I wanted to do a relationship call-in show.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not sure.
Dr. Mike?
Yeah, Dr. Mike. I'm not sure I'm the guy to do that. But I think the concept of having like a live show where like even if we're the young people of Fairfield, just calling in and talking about all sorts of stuff like that.
Right.
But having it extend to like, look, the reality check is not everybody goes to bed at 10 o'clock. So have this thing open till like from 10 to like 2.
Yeah.
And that could be a lot of fun.
Which that is a slot that we could be
When are you
filling.
starting it?
When am I starting it? I'm just not sure.
Right, well,
I'm not sure if I'm
I think you
the
are.
best
Or maybe
for
Sarah.
that
Maybe
either.
Sarah.
Maybe Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah could do it, but then again, she's one of those people who goes to bed at 10.
Oh, okay. Well, then there's that.
No, just kidding.
The DOS is
She
you got to.
gets up very early for work, so.
She does. What about how's Mom doing?
Mom's doing great. Mom is working on her pastels. She's doing fantastically. She's got she just won. She got first, second, and third place ribbons in an art competition that went on at the Sondheim Center a couple weekends ago.
Mrs. Hawthorne, very well done, ma'am.
Fantastic. She has work up in the center right now. It's for sale. And
remember that. Pay your artists in this town, okay? Not everything's for free. Nice.
And she's moving into portraiture now. Very
Cool.
promising.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
That does seem to be like a missing thing. You don't really see a lot of that in town. You see a lot of, landscapes and things like that, and starscapes and things. And Brother Brian, what's going on the Brian front?
Brother Brian is he's pitched back out to California, and he is just kind of he's surfing. He's surfing out there.
Cool.
I'm sure that's what that meant, right? I mean, he's,
no, but he's been always. He used to do a lot of the sound, of course, and a lot of the visual, a lot of the media elemented things, the oriented things over at the Sondheim.
Yes.
And he was like the backbone. He was the guy who was doing that for a long time. So he's very missed, isn't he?
He is. He is missed. He's missed by everyone in the community.
Is there someone who might be jumping into that spot a little?
It could be me.
Could be. Okay.
It could be me.
I will cross our fingers.
Yeah. I'm getting a little more training at the Sondheim Center, and I'm working on picking up more skill on the soundboard, which I've definitely got a lot of familiarity with the soundboard from crew, 6 years, and
6 years.
6 years at KRUU, and then I'm also learning some lightboard and stuff like that. So
nice. Are you afraid of feedback?
I don't.
That's my big fear. I have to throw out there. It stopped me, it paralyzed me from like doing anything further as far as the soundboard. Truth be known.
Feedback on the microphones, yes, but feedback from the community, no.
Oh, nicely played, sir. What about as far as the lights? This isn't new to you. You've seen it done by all sorts of folks.
Absolutely.
And wasn't there was a Mr. Northridge who used to do that a lot for the
he
placement.
did. And when we have touring shows come in, very frequently I'll be on the electrician team when they come in, and so I'll be helping them hang lights, and I'll be focusing things and stuff like that. So I'm absolutely I'm very familiar with it. I've got hands-on experience, but I just I need to go from being an executor to being a leader.
Nicely said. Nicely played. Nicely said. Let's see if we can. And also, let's get into another field. How's your writing going? What's going on?
My writing is going well. I'm working on several different projects right now. I'm kind of more or less scripting a radio play right now. Sort of a space opera comedy drama.
Oh, really?
Believe it or not.
Oh.
And hopefully that will come to fruition soon. I've done a couple of little test clips just to see my Foley skills and see if I can sync up a couple different tracks of dialogue and things like that.
Are you going to do all the voiceovers too?
I'm hoping to really get into my own project on ground level. Doing as many of the voices as I can, because that's one of my big fascinations is voice acting and voiceovers and things like that. I would love to do that as a job.
And you've already graduated college. You're playing with the concept of MBA, all that. And how old are you again?
19.
He's how old?
19.
19. Oh, Jesus. Is there anything you don't do, by the way? Do you know automotives? There are a couple things on my car I got to ask you.
I'm not sure I could fix that, but I could point you in a couple directions.
But another field that you also know, This is an amazing kid, right? Another thing I want to throw out at you is the wonderful world of comic books. Mm-hmm. Do you hate the 52 as much as I hate the 52?
More or less, yes. I'm very, I don't know, I'm sort of worried right now because they're apparently going to introduce Carrie Kelly into the main universe.
And what do you think this is? What does that imply?
That implies, hopefully it implies that there will be a writer that knows what to do with Carrie Kelly, just to fill everybody in, because I'm sure Mike knows here. Carrie Kelly was the Robin in The Dark Knight Returns, and which was by Frank Miller, right? Frank Miller, and it's set in sort of a dystopian future that, Batman is too old to be Batman anymore, but he's got to come back, and Carrie Kelly shows up, and it's just like, I'm gonna be Robin, and kind of is fantastic at being Robin despite having no known training.
Now, which does bring in which brings in yet another divergent universe, which is there's also Batman Beyond, which has Terry McGinnis,
yes,
as Robin, and that's
as Batman.
As Batman. I'm sorry, you're right.
Come on.
You're right. Which do you prefer? Which future do we prefer?
Which future do we prefer? I absolutely love the flavor and style of Dark Knight Returns, just because of all the like silly future 80s gear that they all wear, and all the terrible slang, All
right.
Saying Batman don't shiv and all that.
It's actually, well, how about the getting to the 52 now, and then we're going to get back to the Robin issue, because there's another Robin story that we must be talking about.
Yeah.
A very important one.
Yeah.
And we have a spoiler or two, so if you don't want to, yeah. Or don't, or actually get spoiled if you don't want.
Come on,
listen. Every single superhero now in the DC universe has a collared leotard, unitard.
Collared shirt.
What is that?
I'm not sure, honestly. I think there needs to be
a moratorium on that type of outfit. Yes.
There needs to be a lot more consideration on costume design than what is happening right now.
How about variety?
Variety.
Did they all talk to each other? It's like, let's start a style. Let's make a fashion style.
Well, yeah, it was like back in the 80s when everyone on Marvel had huge shoulder pads.
Oh, that's right.
It's the same exact thing.
And Dallas. Oh, I'm dating myself. All right. We also have to talk about a very serious subject. Robin. Speaking of Robin. All right, here's the spoiler. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Robin's dead, okay? Can we go now?
Damian Wayne is dead.
Wayne.
I mean, I kind of feel like in some way that's his hazing into being a Robin.
Exactly. You're not alive until you've died.
You can't be a DC character until you've died. And so...
Every one of them, with the exception of, it seems like Superman's death was like marginal. He was in like this Kryptonians go to this like Nirvana-ish place.
Yeah, right.
They don't really, and then so they can come back.
Yeah,
except for his parents and everybody else who died on Krypton, but we won't go there.
Yeah.
But how do you? First of all, they had to do this in order to introduce this new Robin, and I actually like her. I kind of do.
I haven't read it yet, so.
I kind of read the introduction, but I didn't read the backstory on her.
Okay.
Which is, should I spoil you?
Absolutely.
Alert you? Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Let me know.
There is supposedly this. It's a storyline of him having sent her father to jail, and she has a brother, Colin, I think it is, or something like that.
Interesting.
So they're getting a mix here of I guess all sorts of older histories, and of course we know that Nightwing is dating his parents' murderer's daughter. What is this? This poor Batman family is really messed up.
Everybody's pretty repressed there.
Is there anyone out there who's killed a member of my family that I can date? It's like, right. Oh my God. What is your prediction as far as the Damian Wayne thing? How are they going to bring him back?
How are they going to bring Damian back? Actually,
And how does Tim fit in all of this? He's not even a member that was like, he's suddenly in the family and he's not in the family.
No, Tim is gone. Tim just doesn't care anymore at all. He would much rather be, I don't even know what he would much rather be hypnotized and a member of the Teen Titans,
I think so.
In their Tron suits.
Oh God, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. And then all of them have
more of this costume design.
DC, you're in trouble. You need an
right.
intervention like Ray Van
Not
Hout.
right.
What's happening in the? Do you also read Marvel?
I do read Marvel.
I prefer DC, but
I'm not. I mean, honestly, I'm not keeping up too much anymore recently. But what I'm very excited for in Marvel is they're starting another Avengers book. Surprise,
no,
surprise.
not another relaunch.
To deal with the
It must be Tuesday.
to deal with the age of Ultron, and what they're going to be doing there is it's an Avengers team made entirely out of robots. And that's actually really interesting to me because it's like
that won't end good.
No, but absolutely not. But no, it's like Vision and Victor Mancha and what's her name? It's like Calypso or something, and she's. I don't know. She was like one of the Vision's many wives.
And I wonder how many movies, since Marvel has a fantastically successful movie franchise, I wonder how many movies are going to be made in association with this.
If the Vision shows up in the MCU, I can die happy.
The Vision was supposed to. The prediction is that the Shield show. You know what's going on. Shall we give a spoiler or two there too? Spoiler alert!
I don't know
Spoiler
if it's
alert!
even spoilers anymore.
I know it's like all over the internet. What's the difference? But Agent Coulson is now going to star in the Shield show, the Disney ABC series that's going to be in the fall, I guess.
Yeah.
And one of the thoughts was that he would be the Vision because, I mean, that was what was thrown out there. He'd be a perfect Vision because he died, and they would like transplant him into and then whatever.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I mean, there's been enough weird characterizations of the Vision that, I wouldn't be averse to that, except for that then I'd have to deal with all the Coulson fangirls swarming all over my Vision.
That's right. That's pretty funny. And then they have another, what do you mean 5 minutes? Forget that.
We're talking Marvel.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's right. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Strong. All right. 5 minutes. Get out. We haven't even talked about music yet. We're moving on to music in like a minute. All right, fine. We'll try to do this. Music. What are you listening to these days? And you have a show on Solar Powered People Powered Crew FM, don't you?
Yes, I do. And we play. We've been playing a lot of Ladytron lately, and a lot of the presets, and Glitch Mob, and just lots of crazy young people music that's like all kinds of weird noises and
crazy
stuff like
young
that.
People music.
It
doesn't have definitions anymore, like electronica or industrial or anything like that. We're way beyond that, aren't we?
More. I mean. We're both beyond that and mired in it.
You know what's amazing is dubstep is still somewhat popular, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, dubstep to me seems like it's a term from like the 70s.
It really kind of is. You know, like I mean, I've got old sample CDs, stuck in my brother's closet. They're all stuff like definite dub, that sort of stuff like that. And it's like, well, it's one of those things where it's like there was a time where all music made on computers was just called techno. And it's like, so now you can't refer to any kind of music as techno anymore because people will be like, that's not a genre. That's,
everything is made on a
this
computer.
Is actually
please
something
define
else.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And like, even if there's a song that you want to say sounds like techno, there's 15 better words for that, So
I remember getting educated by a certain person who has a certain show on Solar Powered People Powered Crew, and I was trying to, I don't know what to call it. You educate me, I'll call it that. I think that he educated me as far as the different subgenres, because I really couldn't keep up with everything that's out there. There were at least 20 to 30 things he threw out there. I remember like maybe 3. But as I'm listening to a lot of the electronica, etc., I'm still calling it electronica because it seems to cover a lot of territory.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't call it techno. I would call it electronica in a lot of ways because it's almost like inserted electronic music into anything you want.
Yeah.
But depending on the speeds and depending on so and whatever it is, that's what you're classifying it as. So anyway, I'm listening to this stuff now, and I realize I've retained a little of the education because I can sort of segregate what I'm hearing. Well, I just don't know the name of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is an interesting musical time. It's bad news for the singer-songwriters. But unless you're going to count, unless you're going to count folks like Adele or Beyonce as singer-songwriters, which can't really do that. But maybe Adele. But what are you listening to? What's your favorite thing? What gets the most play?
What gets the most play
on Galen's
lately?
show. And what's the name of your show?
Our show is called the Midweek Song Streak.
And when is it on?
Wednesdays from 4 to 5, which is super prime time, right?
Now you say we.
We, yes.
Who's the we?
Well, it's me and Evan Davis are, the co-hosts basically, and then there's usually Cheyenne Ross will come on, or Austin Davis will come on. We've got lots of friends will just sort of pop in for a day. AJ Stramundo, people like that.
No way.
He's been
AJ
on.
Stramundo.
He's been on before. When he comes up from Florida, he'll just show up.
What about having him call in and be like a guest on the phone?
We could do that. We could definitely do that.
AJ's been on the show. Mm-hmm. And we actually sang a Christmas Carol together with his mother over here, and the Hurlins horrified.
Perfect.
I was
because they didn't have any drums or pianos.
No, I was trying to get them to join in. I was like harassing them to join in. And then and Helen is like, no, I don't do that. David is like, no, I don't. But yeah, that was one of my favorite shows, the Christmas show, and they were on it. And then AJ sang a couple of songs himself. And you introduced us. You are responsible, sir, at Cafe P, I remember.
Right.
Yeah. The future of music.
The future of music.
Tell us
The
now.
future of music on the radio show?
The future of music.
The future of music. Oh my God, it's in my hands. Well, lately I've been listening to They Might Be Giants because they just put out a new album called Nanobots. That's it's really good, and I know Daft Punk is coming out with a new album very soon. I'm so excited about that. And every day I look on Amazon and I see that double record, 180 gram vinyl, and I think to myself, do I?
Vinyl versus CD?
Vinyl.
Okay.
Vinyl, absolutely.
Even with the Snap Crackle Pop?
Top, absolutely.
Okay.
That's the point of vinyl.
Oh, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of more fun that way. Well, Depeche Mode has a new album. What do you think?
Love Depeche Mode.
Okay.
Gotta get it.
Have you heard it yet?
Haven't.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I gotta get it.
Anamanaguchi
is putting out a new album soon too. Endless Fantasy.
Okay.
I think they just put out some tracks.
What have you listened to lately that you want to give a quick synopsis of, review of? On the spot review.
Definitely Anamanaguchi. Anamanaguchi is they're putting out a new album called Endless Fantasy. They just put out a track called Meow with a full music video that's just fantastic. Their whole sound is just everybody high-fiving everyone on a big wave of C-punk, and it's just like, it's just beautiful. It's so fun.
All right. If you were to be in any group right now, what would it be?
Anamanaguchi?
I have the feeling. If there was any group from the 80s that you could be in, what would it be?
Group from the 80s? Probably, if The Cure counts, then The Cure.
The Cure?
Absolutely.
Okay. Any group from the 70s?
From the 70s. That's going further back, and I'm just not, I don't know if I'm...
Oh, come on, Elvis was from the 70s. No, he wasn't from the 70s. Hi, Jason. Jason's going, yeah, wasn't he from the 70s? No, kidding.
Can't fool Jason.
What about 90s?
From the 90s.
You're wearing some plaids, which infers flannel. So
right, sure, from the 90s. I don't know, if just to make history, I'd like to be in Nirvana.
Sold, you're in. What about the aughts?
The aughts, the naughties. I don't know. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of music
in the aughts.
There's
like the boy bands and all that.
Fan of the aughts music, you know.
Yeah. There was a lot of that was Kelly Clarkson and all of that too, wasn't it?
Stuff like that. It was a little tough. Maybe
Justin Timberlake.
The Shins came in around that time, so I'd probably hide in some indie band that was just starting up back when they were known as indie kids instead of hipsters.
Okay, all right. The best name, favorite name of a group ever for you?
Favorite name of a group.
Any group or person? I mean,
that's Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark.
What a great. That's exactly right.
Great group.
Thinking that name.
Bizarre name. Well, that was one of those things where I had to dig pretty hard there to get that out.
If you're going to say, what about Spandau Ballet? I mean,
of course.
Right. What about?
I've got a lot of group names in my mind too. That things that I would use for a name too. Right.
I recorded a song recently I had a hit in the 80s called Slow Boat to China with another group, a girl group. And it had this perspective of the guy was, mean to me, got rid of me, and I basically told, he told me to take a slow boat to China. Well, I told him, well, I did, and it was great. So there. That was the point of the song. What I did recently, I recorded with Tim Britton, hello Tim Britton, and Eric Hurlin, hello Eric Hurlin, and the mighty Johnny Cohen, a song, a re-record. It was like a 2013 remake from the guy's perspective. And I lovingly called, it was a country hit, this song. So I lovingly put it into, or we lovingly put it into the samba sound. And so Johnny and I are sitting at lunch the other day with his parents, with Lisa and David Cohen, who are also on this show. You hear that, Hawthorns? We got to get you on the show too, by the way. But the names for a group, we were like tossing them around, and Johnny was throughout something like, I think it was like Sambanistas. I was like, that's excellent, I love it. So I looked it up, and it was like, there's no Sambanista. Or rather, I'm sorry, there was a Sambanista.
Oh.
And I went, and then I told him, and he was like, well, what about Sambarista? I'm like, Sambarista, that's even better. I like that. There was no Sambaristas.
Perfect.
So the credit on this project that I'm going to put this on is it's going to be Sambaristas.
Sambaristas.
So I'm giving it away. There, I'm giving out a name. It's mine. Don't come near it. But you keep those names to yourself, because I know you're also a musician.
Absolutely.
Are you sure you can't fix my transmission? Are you sure?
I'm sure.
All right.
Sure. I'm sorry. Unless I can fix it with the power of music.
Let the power of music enter you. What is your instrument?
Right now, I'm having the most fun playing bass, and it's interesting though, because the way that I've tuned it, people on air will love hearing this. It's drop D, A, C sharp, E.
And you can make sense of this how?
And you can make sense of this because it means that you can just bar your finger across the bottom 3 strings and make chords.
Well, that's not fair.
Exactly. And so I'm kind of playing this sort of lead bass kind of thing with also like drop D bass lines, and it's really bizarre. But
all right. Well, all the best with that. What about you play a guitar also, I'm imagining?
Guitar, ukulele, trumpet, piano. Transmission.
Where we need to talk then. All right, we're getting in a major way. We're getting the get the heck off the air signal from Jason.
We're getting the hook, the mega hook.
All right, it's time for some more Monster drink. Galen Hawthorne, thank you very, very, very much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You are amazing. When I grow up, I want to be you. Okay. And Fairfield, you are about to see a Skype interview, and I'm not sure who it is. Perhaps it will be, let's say Todd Rundgren. Todd Rundgren's going to be the Skype interview. What do you think of that?
That's very cool.
There you go. 70s. See, you could yeah, Todd Rundgren. I love Todd Rundgren.
Would have been in his group.
Which would be what? Utopia. Yeah, I gotcha. He's just not.
He pushed me off the boat. We had 5 minutes left, and he pushed me off the boat. Cut that,
but
Jason.
He taught me so much. But he taught me so much. Anyway, stay tuned. Todd Rundgren, and the best person in the world was on this show right here. All right, Fairfield, take care. See you next time. And also Jason Strong, by the way. Todd Rundgren, welcome to Fairfield 2.0. Welcome to Fairfield.
Thank you so much.
It's
a pleasure to be here.
Oh man, it's our pleasure to be talking with you. This is really wonderful. Todd, you have a new album called State, and you have a tour that's coming to coincide with that. Let me ask the most obvious question, which is, how was it working with Todd Rundgren in the studio this time out?
How was it for me?
Yeah, exactly.
It was kind of the usual. I moved to a different room, so it was a little disorienting at first.
Was there any interesting new with you? It's always about some technology here and there, or some new invention or whatever. Was there anything that you applied to this record that was more like next level Todd Rundgren?
Well, I tried to adapt a lot of more modern techniques in terms of making records to what I was doing. So yeah, I am trying to stay up to date. I don't know that I am plowing new ground in the global sense, but at least for me, I'm trying some new things.
Yeah. Now, and obviously, I mean, some of those tracks, some of the tracks on here really, show that you've been having some fun in the DJ world too. Actually, DJ Odd was one of your pseudonyms for this one, isn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of a joke, an inside joke to my Norwegian friends. It actually means, it's a common name there, Odd. It means something, I can't remember what. but I was in Norway about a little more than a year ago, and that trip kind of got me somewhat on the course that I'm on now. And during the course of it, we were all joking about the possibility of me doing some DJing, and that would be my name if I ever did.
Where did that go? Where did the end of that conversation go? Did you do some?
I have yet to do some, but during the course of this tour, a lot of the show is going to be essentially somewhat improvised. And the music on the record was essentially written with that in mind. So from night to night, the show is probably going to be different in some regards.
Oh, that's nice. That's cool. You have. Let's get back to the album. We're talking, by the way, with Todd Rundgren. The album is called State. And some of these tracks on here, you were talking about, like approaching a more modern approach, or I could have phrased that better. But I think when you have tracks like Kaleidoscope, Party Liquor, Something from Nothing, Serious, Imagination, you did it. You kind of did it. So, what did you think when you listened to this album back? What were your thoughts about the mission?
Well, a lot of the times when I'm making a record, I don't have a clearly defined end goal. It's all a process, especially now that much of it can be done on a laptop, and much of it was done in other locations besides my home studio. I could do work on the road as well. So I don't really have kind of like a structure. It's more of a process, and then when I essentially run out of time for one reason or another, then that process comes to an end, and I wrap the whole thing up, and then is the time when I kind of come to grips with what I've done. And so I'm only just now sort of getting far enough away from it to understand what it might mean.
Right. Well, when you're doing it, if you were to insert that in the process, it would almost be a filter, wouldn't it, to your creativity?
In a way, I do, out of all the possible things I could do, I do have certain things that I want to include and certain things that I don't think are necessarily, germane to this particular project. I tend not to... I might do a record like this, and even though it may be successful or whatever, whatever measure of success there is nowadays, that wouldn't necessarily dictate that I try and do another record like it next time. So
right.
There is a kind of persistent element in what I do of not becoming attached to a particular style of music.
Right.
But I can see the possibility of, of working in this area a little bit more, because there is so much experimentation going on with sound and, how sound is presented live, that sort of thing. So it is a sort of a rich area to plow.
Yeah. Does it seem like now is a time when when the live element almost seems equal or more important in some respects than the recorded product?
Well, from an artist standpoint, it always was that way, because whatever you make in terms of record sales, you're always getting the short end of a relatively inexpensive product. In other words, if a record costs $15, $20, and you're lucky to get $1 out of that, but when you go out on tour, the ticket prices can be $40 to, I don't know, it depends on what the demand is, and you wind up keeping like 80% of it. So it always made more sense for artists to develop a thirst in the audience for live performances. And in a way, records, because of the way that the record business has kind of stumbled and disintegrated in a way, you're just as likely to sell CDs at your merch table at your gigs as you are to sell them in a regular record outlet or even, online.
This is interesting. I love what you just said. By the way, anybody joining us now, we're talking with Todd Rundgren, new album called State. Todd, you are, at least to this person, this interviewer here, you are one of my heroes. You are one of the greats as far as technology and as far as production, as far as technology and advancements, etc. in the studio. Block vocal sounds, just arrangement choices. There is a love there of the recording process, which ends up being that product that we were just talking about, right?
Yeah, that can be the challenge. Sometimes you create something in the studio that would be, hugely difficult to reproduce live. And in some ways, the audience's sensibilities about what you can do live have evolved to the point that it isn't as critical. It's great if you can afford to carry a string section on the road with you, but for most people, they're used to the idea of just a keyboard player creating those string sounds.
Right.
And even at this point, it's gotten down to, a one man and his laptop sort of thing, and thousands of people seem to just enjoy watching one man and his laptop, as long as he acknowledges that they're there and jumps around and every once in a while screams out, "Can you feel the love?" And that gets everybody going. So expectations are fairly easier to meet nowadays.
Nice. Now you are one of the, when you played live, you introduce technologies all the time, and it can be argued, or not argued actually, it can be validated that you did that for many years, maybe even before it was famous, before it was popular.
Well, I first started doing some sort of somewhat technology-based solo shows in the 80s.
Right.
And if you wanted to get really technical about it, back in the 70s, I used to open up for Utopia by coming on stage with just me and like a 4-track tape recorder. And so technically, I've been using the help of various devices, pretty much throughout my career. But as I say, I think the audience at this point has evolved to a certain point where they're not that picky about it. And having said that, when I take this particular record out on the road, even though I plan on having a highly improvisational element to it, I will be bringing a drummer and guitar player so that it'll have a little bit more of a, I guess in my mind, a bridge, instead of, just a bunch of technology between me and the audience. It will be a bunch of technologies and a couple of players between me and the audience, and that'll help to bridge the whole technology thing.
Yeah, and it's also a bridge with you as far as feeling what's going on during the performance, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think that, the ultimate improvisation, of course, is other players who understand, what you're trying to do and what the limits are within that particular description. And it's people that I've, played with for such a long time that they don't find the concept to be necessarily foreign or overly challenging. We've tried things like this before. So,
right. Oh, who will it be?
It'll be Jesse, my guitar player, and Prairie Prince, my drummer, the usual suspects.
Yep, Prairie Prince, of course, being of Tubes, of course, being being, of course, Remote Control, one of the great albums that you were associated.
Yeah, well, we do have myriad connections over the years. First, it was just production of the Tubes, and being a fan of the band. And at one point, Tubes and Utopia went out together on a tour, and then I got an opportunity to produce another album by them. And then as the band kind of toured less, I had the advantage of stealing players from them, including Prairie Prince.
Absolutely. There's your ticket. I wanted to ask you, there are acts, you've worked with so many acts, we've already gone over, the last time I interviewed you, we went over so many stories, Meatloaf, XTC, et cetera. But I wanted to ask you, from the acts that are out there right now, you as a producer, and you as working with people, working with artists, and really coming from the perspective of respecting where they come from, are there any artists out there right now, like, I don't want to throw out Adele, but are there any artists out there right now that you feel like, oh my God, I wish I could get them in the studio?
Well, I've always found that to be a dangerous, a kind of a dangerous desire. Usually, the people that you would like to work with are, they're succeeding at what they're doing, and so you figure the only thing you could do is screw it up. It has to be somebody, who really desires to have you work with them, because you don't have any clout if you go to someone and say, please let me produce a record with you. It's I've just discovered that the idea of making a record isn't the same as the reality of making a record, and sometimes you need to have the upper hand, I guess. And that only happens if somebody has come to you and asked you to help them.
That's, I guess, right. But there's also the other element in that you've launched, to your point, you've launched so many acts that has to kind of feel good, watching their success later.
Well, it's kind of, if I have a specialty, it's kind of like in that area. It's in people who either have no experience in the studio or are having unsuccessful experiences in the studio. And as I say, people who are already, managing to get what they want out of the process, they usually don't need somebody like me who specializes in essentially kind of shaking things up and trying to keep people focused on what are the most important goals when you're making a record. And the longer that somebody's been in the music business, and the longer they've, the more they've developed, I guess, essentially habits in terms of making records, it makes it hard to just step in and have them adapt to your process. So I don't really go around wishing I could produce a bunch of people. It just, it turns out that I can, that I do well with artists in a certain circumstance, and outside of that, I'm just happy to do my own records, I guess.
Yeah, and we are too, sir. As in the new album State. We're talking with Todd Rundgren right now. Todd, were there any new toys or any new, anything that you got for this project that was, that you hadn't used before in any of the other projects?
Well, not in terms of anything that wasn't already available, let's say, or wouldn't, or anything that wasn't available to other people, or there wasn't anything that I knew about that other people didn't know about. It often happens that I just come around to certain things a little later sometimes than others, so they might be new to me, but they're not actually new per se.
Right.
And I've been using the same software pretty much for most of my recent projects, so that's not new. The software itself evolved, but as I say, that was something that was driven outside of my purview. It was going to get improved one way or another. So while there were, new things for me to learn in terms of that process, it wasn't anything revolutionary. No, it was more me studying up on, the techniques that people are using. And, people are using the same tools that I have access to. So in that sense, I didn't have to go out and learn something new.
Right.
Or put it this way, I could have gone out and learned something new, but I chose not to. There's a different software package that a lot of people tend to use, and I was tempted to go through the learning curve, and then I realized, I had better things to do with my time than getting caught up in, like 3 to 6 months of trying to learn a brand new piece of software.
May I ask you if it was it something like Ableton or Logic or something?
Well, I use a program called Reason. And Ableton is the program that a lot of people use when they do performances. And so I was tempted at one point to try and figure it out, but it's a different metaphor from what I'm used to. And so I figured, no, I'm not going to do that.
All right. Hey,
in that sense, I've never learned how to use GarageBand either, which even, a novice Mac owner or iPad owner knows how to use.
Well, I have to tell you, I'm recording you on Audacity right now, so there you go.
There we go.
Hey, Todd.
Baby.
That's
what we go for, shareware.
Shareware. Todd, I want to ask you, last time I spoke with you, I asked you what advice do you have for new artists, but I want to flip that question a little, and I want to ask you this time, what was the best advice maybe that you got?
Advice. Well, the problem was, I got advice but did not heed it, and maybe that was good. The thing that I, especially in terms of production, was that it's not simply the music, and it's not simply trying to make it sound nice and that sort of thing. You discover after a while that it's really about understanding, in some cases, the actual psychology of the people that you're working with. And a lot of producers, I used to have sort of, mixed feelings about a producer whose only skill seemed to be going into the studio and schmoozing the artist and making them feel good. But I can see that, in some cases, that's the thing that you have to do, because that's the only way you're going to get them to produce. So yeah. I had to learn all of these sort of people skills after I first started producing, and regardless of how successful those records might have been, there will always be people who complain about my bedside manner. And that's, something that you continually have to kind of find.
Yeah, or throw up your hands and go, oh, well.
Yeah. Well, that again is the reason why you want to have an artist come to you and ask you to produce them, as opposed to going to them and then having them get pissed off at your demeanor and firing you.
Absolutely. All right, I have one last question I want to ask you, and that is about the two last. One is the tour. You're obviously looking forward to the tour. Is that going to take you? Where's that taking you?
Well, we have a first leg that goes pretty much along the northeast.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to think of what our southernmost point is, but I don't think we go very much south at all in that first leg. Then we go to Europe and do mostly Scandinavia, Amsterdam, and Scotland and England.
Cool.
Then we come back and we do, I have a little event in June, which we're calling Todd Stock 1.5 or something like that, which is just a big fan gathering, and we have our own little Burning Man, and it's going to be like in Louisiana, about an hour outside of New Orleans, on a plantation. And then after that, we continue with this state tour across the, southwestern and into California. And then we go to Australia. We play 8 dates in Australia. Then return home and do, I think, some more dates. I don't remember exactly. And then we go to Japan after that. So the year is filling up.
And of course, during that tour, somehow, somewhere, you'll be stopping in again, I imagine, at Daryl's house.
You don't know. I haven't been asked, but it would be, I would be breaking some sort of record probably if I were to do that. And And I would certainly take him up on it if he asked. It's a fun show to do.
It really is, and it's always fun to watch you on there. And you guys are you're just soul brothers. It's really an amazing thing to watch when the two of you are going at it, going the music together. Yeah.
Yeah, well, growing up in Philadelphia, that's how we roll.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Todd, you probably have another interview to run to, but I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for coming to, speaking of Todd 1.5, to Fairfield 2.0.
My pleasure. So, talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. All right, do me a favor, please, before you leave, Todd, do me a favor, can you do an ID real quick?
Sure.
All right, it would be, hi, this is Todd Rundgren, and you're listening to Grandpa D on Solar Powered Crew FM.
Hi, this is Todd Rundgren, and you're listening to Grandpa D on Solar Powered Crew FM.
Beautiful, he'll love that. Thank you so much, Todd.
No problem.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.